from Skyline High School in Sammamish. Welcome to our radio network.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. So tell us who you are, where you're from, what you're about. What is it you're doing? Why do we have you here today?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Anushka, and I am going to be a senior this year at Skyline High School, like you just said. And I started working with the Native community around 2.5 years ago. So I actually got involved after watching a documentary that really sparked my interest. And ever since then, as a passionate Native ally, I've been really just trying to share Native voices as much as possible and do as much as I can to support the community.
Cool. So who have you had on your show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have like a website, podcast, and blog. And so on my podcast, I really like to interview a large variety of Native community members. So I've interviewed Native artists, Native veterans, also Native activists. So yeah, I just really love hearing stories from a variety of disciplines. And I think that having those perspectives and especially being able to share that with a non-Native artist is really powerful because it helps to spread awareness about Native advocacy. And so that's definitely been one of my biggest goals, to really spread awareness about everything amazing that's going on in the Native community.
And I'll go ahead, Sherry.
Oh, no, you do it.
Thank you. So tell us, Anushka, about some of the work that you've recently done related to land acknowledgements.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually basically started giving land acknowledgements at my school, especially because I noticed, we really weren't talking a lot about Native history. And I think that, especially in a non-Native audience, it helps to create awareness that we are on Indigenous land and on Indigenous ancestral homelands. So when I first started doing land acknowledgements at my school, a lot of people, started asking me questions like, what is a land acknowledgement? And, why do you do this? And I think that it really helped to spark dialogue about Native culture and history. And I think that's one of the reasons that it was really wonderful. Especially in a school setting where you're really trying to learn as much as you can. I think it really helps students become more curious and have an open mind towards learning about these topics. So yeah, I started giving land acknowledgements at school, and I've been working with my school district. So they actually started doing land acknowledgements to start off their school board meetings as well. Yeah, and we also have a collaboration with the Snoqualmie tribe at the Issaquah School District, so it's been a really nice partnership.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. It's remarkable what you've accomplished just at your age. I mean, you're still in high school and you're hanging out with senators and, working with land acknowledgements. I mean, probably most of your classmates are, still trying to get A's in classes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sherry?
Well, yeah. So I'm curious, So as a non-Native person, why did this become important to you? A lot of times people, I honestly think that we're extinct and that Native cultures aren't present anymore, and that we're just something in a textbook or in a history book. Yeah. I guess, what did you learn in school? What prompted you? I know you saw the documentary, but what really caught you about it? What made you be such an
Mm-hmm. I think actually the very point that you just mentioned, that like a lot of people have this like stereotype or perception that like natives aren't here anymore. I think it was that very thing that I noticed myself, and I was like, this needs to change, because after I started volunteering with some organizations, and as a part of that, I started making calls to Native people who were part of the program. I talked to them. Some of them were living on reservations. Some of them were urban natives. So as soon as I started making these calls, I was like, there is such a vibrant and thriving culture, especially like in Seattle. It's such a wonderful hub for Native culture. So I was like, there's clearly a lot of culture, and it's just that, non-natives aren't able to get much exposure to it. So I was like, I really want to help share Native voices, especially with the advocacy part, working on decolonization, especially missing and murdered Indigenous women. If you're talking about, keeping traditions alive, doing powwows and traditional dances. And I think it's just so beautiful. I got to attend the Seafair powwow, and that was just so amazing for me. I just think it's so important as an ally to do as much as I can to bring these Native voices to a non-Native audience as much as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I heard that you met Harris at the powwow.
Yes, that was awesome.
Anushka, who inspires you? Who would you say is like, if you had to, define one role model who has really like helped you and guided you along your journey up to this point? Who would that be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be tough to choose one person, but I think one of the first people who really inspired me to start this work is Xiuhtezcatl Martinez. He's a really amazing, powerful speaker. He's an Indigenous activist himself. He's also pretty young. I think he's like in his 20s now, but he started his work also when he was just, I think, like 10 or something. He's been doing advocacy for a long time. Yeah. So I'm really inspired by his work in the environment. He really helped to pass a lot of bills, and he makes amazing music, and he's a youth himself. So I just really wanted to follow his footsteps and do as much as I can as a youth. He also really helped inspire me because I realized that even if you're a youth, you still have a lot of power, and you don't have to feel like you can't do anything just because you're not, an adult or in a nonprofit. You can do a lot no matter who you are or what age you are.
That's very true. I wish we could probably put that on a billboard, Harris, and have people.
I do too. I wish we could call the billboard company that we have a relationship with here, and I wish we could have that over the biggest street corner here in the city.
That's definitely an important message for people to know. It's and especially for this generation, your generation, because you're the next ones. You have to carry on everything that everybody else has brought for you.
Yeah.
And it's really important to know that you have that power because all your ancestors want you to have it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think my ancestors survived just so I could do nothing. Mm-hmm. So I think yours brought you up really well, obviously. So tell me, what senators have you worked with? What are you doing with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm currently trying to connect with the Washington School States Directors Association. It's called WASDA. So I'm trying to work with them to present to some, there's a Tribal Leaders Congress, and basically I'm trying to work with them to see how we can bring more Native education into schools, how we can better support Native students, also work on land acknowledgements. And we already have a wonderful curriculum in Washington State since time immemorial, which is awesome. A lot of states really don't have much going on in terms of Native curriculum. So it's really wonderful that we already have that. But as always, there's more that can always be done. So, I've been working with my local representative, Tana Sen. I've also talked to, Deborah Lekinoff, who is an amazing pioneer of awesome work. And then I'm also currently working in the state of Illinois to help them pass a bill to teach Native curriculum, because I think it's important to get other states to also follow in Washington's footsteps. So yeah, just really trying to connect with tribal governments and do as much work as I can to connect with more student representatives in Washington State, tribal government organizations. It's all about connections.
So Illinois, that sparked my interest. That's some of my tribal homelands. I'm Peoria Indian. Cool. Yeah. Uh-huh. So why did you pick Illinois? Is it?
Yeah, I actually had a connection there. So one of my other friends was working on that bill already. So I was like, hey, I have connections in Washington. I can help you out. So I was like, I'll help you also get this bill passed because it's super important. So that's how I got connected.
How did you get the courage to go speak to your state representatives? That's a big thing to do for anybody. Mm-hmm. And I suspect you probably reached out to them maybe when you were 16, maybe younger.
Yeah.
So where did that come from?
I think, speaking to your representatives is so important because I feel like a lot of, constituents or people like us, we don't realize how much power we hold. And talking to your representatives is one of the best ways that you can share your voice. And I guess it's sometimes hard for representatives to connect with each and every person, but from my experiences, they really want to talk to us and get to know what our thoughts are. So, once you connect with them, there's so many ways that you can do advocacy work, and senators and representatives really are a wonderful resource to get you involved in the community. Just this past week, I was able to talk to, I think, so many members of WASDA, and there's so many pathways that you can work on. And I really think that each and every person should try and get as involved as possible with the community, because, if every single person does something to contribute, as a greater whole, we can do so much more. And, it's great that we have, activists and pioneers, but if every person does their little part, it can be so meaningful and impactful.
Thank you. We are stronger together.
Yes.
Absolutely. So with you still in the process of graduating and furthering along your educational, pathway and career, what do you want to do as a profession? Have you decided what you want to do when you become, an adult?
Yes. So I am really, again, like I said, passionate about continuing this process of working in Native advocacy. So I'm not here just for a few years. I'm here for life, and I really want to be the best ally that I can be. And I want to create a lifelong relationship with, the Native communities. So I really want to continue this Native advocacy work. And another thing I'm really passionate about is languages. So I, in general, really love talking to people from different backgrounds and cultures and learning different languages. So I'm hoping in college that I can further my study of ethics and racial studies, linguistics, and I also have a little bit of interest in science. So just trying to combine all those things and maybe working with communities to help provide science education, working in research or linguistics. Those are all some things I'm interested in.
Awesome. I mean, you've got an incredible journey ahead of you, and let us help and support. And just like you're coming down today, we appreciate you coming down today and chatting with Sherry and myself. And it's just great to see the youth so entrenched in what they're passionate about, like you. I mean, and that really goes a long way with me. So I appreciate you coming down. Sherry, any closing words on your end? And then
just thank you for all that you're doing and what you're going to continue to do, and keep in touch with us. Let us know what we can do to assist you in the future.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And just, I guess one closing remark is to any allies out there who are interested in joining the work, I would just say it can be difficult at first. It's really scary because there's a pretty steep learning curve. You have to learn a lot, but I would just say, just go for it and just ask a lot of questions and be open-minded and willing to be corrected or willing to learn new things. But thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure and honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anushka. Definitely check out our website, daybreakstarradio.com, and download our app. Take us on the move wherever you go from point A to point B. Daybreak Star Radio across all platforms.